Are you into full racks? I've been itching to get my hands on one of these for the longest time. So I did what any other rational person would do, trying to make an important life decision. Should I get a roof rack for my Jeep? Yes, definitely. Should I get the JCR or the Tyger? Without a doubt. So I got both. One from the heart of China, the Tyger. The other one, made here probably in the USA, the JCR. So we're gonna do a comparison. And let me be crystal clear, there's no sponsorships here. I splurged on these bad boys all by myself to figure out which one I like more. So buckle up because we're jumping into unboxing. So let me tell you why I chose these two particular racks. Well, one of the reasons was because I wanted it to be under $1,000, and I also wanted it to be a full rack, meaning that it's not just a half roof, but it's the whole thing. Also, it was really important to me to have a rack that has aluminum crossbars like the ones on both of these racks. They're basically an aluminum extrusion that they use to mount up different accessories or even a rooftop tent in the channels of the extrusion using T-nuts. Now, although these racks look extremely similar and the style is pretty much the same, there are some major differences right off the bat, and the first one is obviously one is made right here in Michigan in the USA, which is the JCR. Then you have the Tyger one that is manufactured in China. Now, some of the other differences are the JCR is fully aluminum with the clamps being steel, and the JCR only has 6 clamps versus the Tyger, which has 10 clamps, but it's all metal construction except the crossbars. Now the capacity on them is different as well. The Tyger can handle 300 pounds of dynamic capacity, which means that when you're driving around or moving around, and 600 pounds of static capacity, which means when you're sitting still or maybe you have a rooftop tent up top and you need to climb in, they're claiming that it can handle up to 600 pounds. The JCR, on the other hand, has it listed for their dynamic road weight is about 100 pounds evenly distributed, and they also say that the static weight limits are at your own discretion. Another major difference is that the JCR roof rack actually has reinforcement brackets to be able to run heavier gear or a rooftop tent sold separately on their website versus the Tyger that has absolutely no accessories available. And as far as the warranty goes, the Tyger has a limited 5-year warranty against manufacturer defects, while the JCR on the other hand has a lifetime warranty. Now right off the bat, the JCR definitely scores a lot of positive points over the Tyger rack, but the Tyger rack does have an advantage because it does come in at a lower price. I picked up the JCR rack for just over $1,000 and the Tyger one was about 650 bucks. And I really think that they're both at a great price point exactly for what they offer. We got a lot of parts, definitely a lot of brackets. Looks like they do include little things to protect your paint, little cushiony pads. Some of them were falling off, but they're all there. I got some eye loops, a whole bag of hardware. That's gonna be fun. Looks like we got some plate backing nuts. We got 7 aluminum crossbars. We have the side rails, the rear, and the front. First impression, it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty good. I do like everything, especially the aluminum extruded crossbars. Although I'm not too crazy about this wrinkle crinkle finish on them. This powder coat is not one of my favorites. I'm not too worried about the finish. There are other concerns that I have, and we'll talk about those later. Let's unbox the JCR. We got the JCR unpacked. Great packing job. Everything was nice and solid. Unfortunately, the FedEx guys weren't so nice, and they probably dropped the box because all my JCR stickers are ripped up. So JCR, if you're watching, My stickers got damaged. All right, moving on. In comparison, I could already see that the JCR is definitely longer. Less brackets. I have 8 crossbars here, and that one only has 7. And of course, it has my favorite powder coat finish. Huge plus on that. First one's gonna be the Tyger. Let's get this bad boy on and running. Now, while I'm doing this, let's talk about its features and the ease of installation. I got the basic shape of the Tyger. Now, it is starting to feel a little heavy, not gonna lie. So from what I see listed on their site, the weight of this rack is about 100 pounds, which is significantly heavier than the JCR. I think we found our first drawback is the sheer amount of weight that this unit weighs. And let's be honest, that's a lot of hardware to sift through to be able to assemble it all. Other things that I want to mention is that these look like they are steel. I don't think these are stainless steel. They are painted black hardware, which in time is probably gonna lose the finish and start showing up with some rust on it. And another thing I found is one of the rib nuts that's supposed to go in here is kind of damaged on the inside, so I had to clean up the thread on this in order to get my bolt in. Now that I got the bolt in, it's actually pretty decent. So we're gonna move on and start finishing this thing up. Again, one of the things that I want to point out, this is out of the box how I got the powder coating, so you can see the coating underneath. The powder coating here is already chipped off just from shipping. That's one of the reasons why I don't like these crinkle wrinkle finishes, is because they tend to peel and come off fairly easy from the coating underneath that they put on. So the powder coating on this right off the bat, I can tell you, is not the greatest. So I'm really struggling with the hardware. These guys that mount your clamps were not cleaned up after they were being welded. They're all crooked too. Well, the issue is every time you go to put the bolt in, it ends up cross-threading. So when you think you just caught the thread and you start going in, guess what? This is what happens. So I am down 2 so far and about 4 bolts through 3 brackets that I've installed, and I have a ton more to go. So chances are at this point, I'm gonna have to pick up my own hardware. And even more frustration, the fitment on these brackets, these welds are so globbed up that these brackets barely fit on the way that they're supposed to. I got all the mounting brackets on, which was a lot. The amount of hardware is really not the frustrating part. I think the biggest frustration in this so far has been hardware not going in, cross-threading, dirty threads, and so on and so on, just because the threads were not cleaned up post-fabrication. For the most part, it's all together. Now all I gotta do is pop it on top of my Jeep, mount it up. All the hardware is still loose, so I'm gonna tighten that up once it's up on the Jeep as it says in the instructions. So let's get this on top. Got it up on top with my wife's help, which was a pain. Didn't realize how hard it would be just because for the fact that it weighs so much. I'm actually starting to notice that some of this powder coat in some spots is bubbling up. I don't know if it had some moisture and it's just got a little rust underneath there, or what the deal is, but I have a feeling this whole thing is gonna start doing that, which is a little bit of a concern. Now all I have to do is install these clamps and tighten up all the bolts. So everything is tightened up. This thing is actually fairly solid. I gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised. Lots of clamps do the job. I did install these handles. I'm not too crazy about them. I kind of like the clean look without these sticking out. It also comes with 6 of these, which I'm not going to use for the purpose of this video. I think you're supposed to mount them something like this for tie downs, but I don't have the need for that right now. So I am kind of concerned about the load capacity of 600 pounds. I'm sure the rack can handle the weight, but I'm not sure the gutters can. My fear is that if you put a rooftop tent up and if you're one of those Jeep girls with an OnlyFans that's trying to shoot your cheek lapping content, you'll probably have your fiberglass roof cracking. So if you're using your rooftop tent to pay for your rent on OnlyFans, you might want to avoid this rack and get something that can be reinforced, so you don't come crashing down like your follower count after you turn 40. But am I wrong? Everything's mounted up. I'm gonna go for a test drive. I am kind of giving it the benefit of the doubt right now, but there is a little bit of play, I guess I should say, looseness, shakiness. I'm hoping that that's not a big deal. I'm assuming if the bikes are gonna fall off, I'm gonna hear it, right? Whoa, okay. I do feel vibration. Could help out if I mount like a box or something like that to help absorb some of that vibration. I'm pretty sure what I'm feeling right now is the crossbars vibrating from the heavy wind, and the fact that I'm driving about 65 miles an hour right now. I'm pretty sure that's what's causing the vibration. I know that I'm able to take my bikes and go. So let's pull into the garage and get the other one together and up on the roof of the Jeep. So no, that did not just happen. That would really suck if it did. And actually, you'd be surprised how often that happens. Just Google it. So if you mount up stuff on your roof, don't just pull it into the garage. Anyway, I'm ready to assemble the JCR and swap it out on the Jeep. Looking at this right now, I'm really kind of like feeling like I'm missing parts just because the other one had so much stuff and this one doesn't, which is a good thing. And after handling the other one, when I went to pick this stuff up, yeah, that's the beauty of all aluminum, I guess. It's a lot lighter. So I jumped into the assembly of the JCR rack, and let me tell you, it went absolutely smooth. Everything seemed like it was easy to handle. I was able to find all the stainless steel hardware. Everything went together super smooth, and I could not be happier. And as far as the clamp down brackets, these are a lot less complicated than the Tyger ones are. Here are the clamps, and they're all labeled. So this one is front, there's also middle and rear. These are nicely bent, clean welds. That's it. Oh wow.
That was so much easier.
Holy crap. What a difference. It literally hugs the Jeep. As much as I like the look of the other one's just way too bulky. Looking at this right now is like sleek, perfect, exactly what I was looking for. So far, I am very, very impressed with the JCR. This whole spot that I had an issue with that I didn't like on the Tyger, this looks a lot better. It definitely sits more flush. It hugs the curve of the Jeep perfectly. It's got way less space here, which I really like. And then obviously things like this is gonna get adjusted, so I'm not worried about that. Damn, that looks good. So everything's tightened up and the rack is mounted. All I have to say, if you have any doubts about JCR, don't. If you're considering this rack, just get it. The JCR is slightly more expensive, but it is well worth it. After everything was tightened down and clamped down, there's no stress from either side of the clamps. Even after installing, the actual rails are straight. The rack sits perfectly spaced out. You have a nice little thin gap here, which is perfect in my opinion. Like, this is really refined. The only other thing I have to do is get my bikes up there and test out how it feels. Alright, so right off the bat, definitely no weird noises, no creaking. I'm not hearing any weird anything, really. That vibration that I felt at around 50 to 60 miles an hour with a Tyger, I'm not feeling that with the JCR. The bikes on there seem pretty solid. I think also the fact that the actual crossbars are slightly wider, that kind of helps out with the flexing on the bikes. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. So this only took a little bit of work, but I have them both side by side. So the first thing that you can notice right off the bat is the fact that the JCR has more crossbars and they're spaced closer together. JCR doesn't have its crossbars sitting flush to the top in case you have something that you're mounting with an overhang. This might be a little tricky, whereas in the Tyger one has it pretty much almost flush with the top. If you have something overhanging, it's going to be a lot easier for you to mount it up and not worry about the lip sticking out. weighs 100 pounds. I want to say about 40-ish on the JCR. Tyger, pain to put together. I literally spent most of the day trying to put this thing together, trying to get the bolts to go in. Welds are not the greatest on the Tyger. Some of the brackets I had a hard time fitting together. The JCR went together smooth as butter. I literally had this thing together in about 45 minutes. The JCR is more slimline, mounts a little bit lower. The Tyger definitely mounts higher. Is a little bit more thicker. I do really like the look of the Tyger though. The one thing that I'm not crazy about is all the clamps on the side, but it looks good up there. Those clamps are what is basically killing the look of the Tyger, because they are bulky, square. If they were nice, small, and clean, I think the Tyger really looks good. Especially on the side with all the cutouts, I think it looks pretty good. The Tyger comes automatically with mounting location for light bars. You have the cutouts on top, so you can mount your light bars, lights, whatever you want to mount on there. The JCR is an option. You can choose whether you want no light bar cutout, or if you want the light bar cutout, they'll ship you whichever front you want. Now, if you go in the back, you can see that the Tyger has this mounting in the back that you can put a light bar on, lighting, whatever you want to put on there. You have a way to mount things on there. As far as the JCR, you don't have the capability of mounting anything on the back unless you drill holes or so on and so on. The Tyger, the nice thing about this is the extrusion has cutouts top, side, bottom on all sides, including that side. You have the cutouts top, sides, and bottom. The JCR only has the cutouts for the crossbars on one side, and it's only on the top. Essentially, if you have your recovery boards or maybe your roto packs on this side and you have to mount up something on that side, everything has to come off in order for you to be able to slide the T-nuts to the other side to be able to mount it on this side of the rack. Another major thing that I wanted to mention about these extrusions, I guess these crossbars, is these crossbars are not actually 1x2. The Tyger crossbars are 1 3/4 inch by 1 3/4 on the Tyger, where the JCR actually has a true 2 inch by 1 inch extrusion. And these, in my opinion, are way better. A 1/4 inch may not seem like a huge difference, but it really is. These are not as commonly found here. They're not a standard for the accessories that are produced here to be able to be mounted on top of roof racks. Typically, everything that's produced here in the US with major accessories for overlanding and so on, they're made to be mounted more on this style of an extrusion, where you have that 1 inch spacing between the channels, and here you have a lot less. The last thing that I want to mention is the powder coating. Crinkle finish on the Tyger, then you have really nice texture finish on the JCR. JCR does all their powder coating in-house at their facility where they manufacture these, and you can tell that they actually did a great job. So the overall winner for me is pretty clear. I am going to stick with the JCR, and that's what I'm going to run on top of my Jeep. Although it is slightly more expensive, I feel like it's a lot more refined. It's a better quality product, and I really do like the way that it looks. And I also love the fact that if I ever decide to put a rooftop tent on top of my Jeep, I am definitely going to be able to do that with the reinforcement brackets. So that is the reason why I'm sticking with the JCR. Now that I got my rack back on my Jeep and all my gear loaded up, all I have to do is pull up my Onyx map and go find my adventure. If you guys found the video helpful, please consider subscribing for more videos like this. And if you were ever curious about Onyx maps, make sure to check out the link in my description. You'll save 20% on your subscription, and it'll also help me bring more content to you guys. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the trails.